thank you for having me.
No problem.
Uh,
Always glad to talk about Dune with you. I think like some of the like a lot of players on the Discord think very highly of your play. So when I was knocked out of the okay, let me just some backstory. When I was knocked out of the GPI tournament, right, and I know that I was playing a bunch of games with Sneaker, and I think that's the first time I really watched him closely, right, and I thought to myself, man, Sneaker really plays like me. Like he does all the things that I want to do, and he does some things better. Maybe not all things, but he does. He plays Beast a lot better than me, and he aggressively blocks better than me. So so I told him about it, and I guess after that we've been chatting since. Yeah. So anyway, Sneaker, welcome to this channel.
Thank you, thank you. Those are very kind words because I think you're also like one of the people I was watching out for in the tournament, and I was honestly quite surprised you didn't, go further. And I've watched your recent round of 14 game where you got knocked out, and I do think, um, yeah, the reasons why you highlighted why you didn't make it through that game were very valid. And I think if you had played it probably at a better time for you, you would have probably gotten top two in that game and probably gotten quite far in the tournament. I say so myself.
Yeah, but I mean, Dune is like that. You don't win all the time.
Yeah, yeah. No, because if we did win all the time, I would have also won the whole thing, right?
Uh,
I wouldn't have gotten second twice when it mattered.
uh, well, it's over. I think whoever won deserves to win. And then whoever wins deserves to win, no matter what happens.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. So you would like to take us away with our first leader that we're talking about today?
The first leader I want to talk today is probably like it's not necessarily the best, but I think it's one of the two leaders that has improved more like quite a bit in uh, Immortality compared with X, and that's Countess Ariana Thorvald.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't say she is like S tier, but compared to how god awful she was in X, I think she should be highlighted in Immortality. Because I think with Immortality, I'd say like a good B
Hmm.
tier, like a
Okay.
good B, not like a low B tier for me personally.
Hmm.
And that has to do with the early water access she gets, and the Talaxu cards that are available in the row. Like if there's a Piter or like a Stitched Horror, I don't mind picking Ariana in, I'd say like position one or position three. Like I think for many people, position one in Immortality has gotten quite awkward. But I think for Ariana, she can make position one work quite well because you're the first one to reveal. And if you go the um, research station route, there's a possibility that you get three cubes already, and there's like a high chance of you grabbing Pyder round one and also reshuffling it into your deck and drawing it round one again. So I think for me personally, there, there's a bit large chance of getting like quite bad deal choice for first position.
Hmm.
And if I get Ariana in first position and there's a good Twi'lexu road for it, I would be quite happy actually.
Okay. Okay, so first things first, let me share some stats of Ariana. Ariana is the fourth least popular leader. So her pick rate is she has 57 picks among the stats that we have, and she has 14 wins. So that leads to her having actually a pretty decent win rate. She has a 25% win rate for Ariana, which you might think is average, but actually is pretty decent for Immortality. So I I agree with you with regards to first player objectives. So first player objectives, right? You can't really get any of the spaces which require double access. So you can't really
Yeah.
get full space. You can't really get smuggling, bar a few circumstances or luck, right?
Yeah.
But what you can do is that you can set yourself up for very good buys because you're first to buy, and
Yeah.
the best place to do it is probably the Twi'lek row because it cannot get nuked and the information is there from the start. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I don't agree with this research station line, right, is that if you want to go research station with Ariana, right, let's say if you're going round one, what you have to do, you have to draw both Signet Ring and Reconnaissance, right? So you have to play your Signet Ring, then you play your Reconnaissance to research station. Isn't that very awkward?
Well, you forget that if you have your Diplo and your ring, you can also just do your diplomacy to still suits and then ring to research station. So you spend 2 water but get 1 water back. So you end up with, net positive. No, not net positive. You just end up equal. And I think that's one of the things that, that's one of the things that makes her special because it's her ring ability. So I don't think you necessarily need double city access with reconnaissance and your ring. You can also just do the still suit into ring to research station. But if you haven't drawn your ring, diplomacy and your reconnaissance, I do think this play gets quite a bit more awkward because you don't want to draw your ring and not be able to play it.
Okay. So what you're saying is that you're not really using your ring to get the water to go to research station, right? You just
Yeah.
value playing the ring at research station.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I think if I have the choice between playing my ring and playing like both Diplo, I would probably always go for my ring play. Like just the extra water in immortality. I think water value has increased by quite a bit in my mind at least. So I think playing a ring is very important as Ariana.
Cool. Let me go try it. Let's talk about the next leader.
Well, next leader has already been highlighted by you actually, but Elisa ECAS, as soon as Immortality came out and Elisa, in my mind, got quite a bit better. Like, there's actually a fun story. I played with my friends in real life a lot of X games, and the first 5 games we played with Dune Imperium X expansion, uh, all 5 of them was won by Elisa. So at some point we
Wow.
just said, okay, we just banned this leader. She's just too good. But afterwards we noticed we were just bad players, and it was just luck of the draw. But we did have like a short stint where we thought she is just too insane. She can't be stopped.
Yeah.
Well, would I say she's that insane in Immortality? Not yet, but I think with the which what you highlighted in your video as well with the grafting and also like the possibility of getting turn two swordmaster with double smuggle. She got, I think, like in my mind, A plus, like quite a bit better than most leaders. But I do have a very strong opinion about certain leaders being quite a bit worse as well. Like, for instance, Harkonnen is not that good in IMO by quite a large margin in my mind, but that's talk
Okay,
about
okay,
it later.
we'll talk about that later. So Illicit Cast stats wise, also not a popular leader. So it's third least popular. So it has a total of 51 picks amongst the games that been submitted, and amongst them she got 16 wins, and that leads to about a 31% win rate. So I suspect this number will go down because the list of people playing her actually is not too high. Um, but so one interesting fact about this leader, right, is that one day when I was streaming, Paul Denon actually came into the chat, and when I was and because I was playing Elysia and I play Elysia a lot, so he was talking about Elysia and I was talking about how much I like the passive. So he was saying that actually in their play testing, right, Elysia's Signet Ring used to have no cost. So it used to be you play the Signet Ring, you get a full space, right? And actually, because her passive was, in his words, is the most powerful passive in the game, right?
Yeah.
Elysia was totally broken and destroyed all the playstyles. So they nerfed the Signet Ring by giving it a 1 Solari cost. So that's just some backstory to Elysia Cass.
Well, they kind of killed her ring by doing that, in my
Yes,
mind.
yes, they killed her ring. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've always been very high on this leader. I think that when played well, it does perform very well. Um, I always do well with her, and when I play against another Elite cast player, I always wonder, how does this person have so much spice? Why is this person buying another tag or going highliner again? This is like just some things that I always end up thinking about whenever I play against someone else with Elite cast. Um, yeah, and I do think she's a lot better in Immortality than in X. Yeah, grafting does help her a lot, and
I'm with you later, actually.
I I always been a high A for her, not an S tier. I think that I think
Yeah.
I think the meta always fights against her. So if there's a very clear meta and that she can kind of and she's not popular, right? She'll do very well because people don't really know what to play against her. But the more people
Yeah.
know how to play against her, then it's harder for her to navigate, right? So
Yeah.
in X, right? I mean, near the end, I was doing very well because no one was going to wealth. Not like Ilban players were not going to wealth, right? I think a lot of people think that Ilban going wealth meant that was a very clear, obvious line, but it hasn't been. This wealth mandate thing is pretty recent in TTS. In TTS meta, and people can fight me about it, but before GPI, did anyone do it? No, right? The
I don't
Ilban
remember.
the Ilban win rate was so low. Like if you look at the end of the previous tournament, right? I can't remember what it's called. The one where Drazo won, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ancient history.
Yeah. So in that one, Ilban. Okay, I don't know why we're talking about Ilban. We're talking about Ilban. So Ilban, when I think when CJ and Black Shadow talked about it, they're like, "Oh, Ilban did quite well, but we think this is the tail end of it. This is as
I've
high as
delved
he can
into.
go."
I think, yeah, it's a struggle to see him do much better than this. If he played 100 games, would he win a third of them? I mean, there's no way. Surely not.
Yeah.
And that could be us being completely wrong here, and that's totally fine.
Then the start of the GBI came, and everyone was winning with Ilban. I think Ilban won like 60% of his games within the first like 30, 50 games that were played. And this whole wealth mandate thing was not common then. And because it wasn't common then, right, as someone playing Elysia, it was very easy to get to wealth. And let's say, and because you can get to wealth easily, you can very easily pay a dagger separately. Second. So if the meta is stable and you are able to recognize paths that are free and paths that are good, right, and people don't know how to play against you, it's very good for Elysia. So that's why I think it will always remain a high A, somewhere in an A, but for it to become S tier, unless more graph cards are introduced, I don't think that she can get there.
Yeah, I don't think I would rate Lisa S as well, but she has been A tier in MMO for quite a while in my mind.
Yeah.
Well, we talked quite a bit about him already, but next one is Count Ilban Ritchie.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd say for me, even in X, he was one of the better leaders. Like I've seen your GP, like the X tier list, and you asked also about the GPI players, and I think Hyoth has rated them very highly, and I think I would agree with Hyoth about where to put Ilban in X already. And in Imo, I think he hasn't gotten worse. Like personally, if I have the choice between if I'm fourth or third and I don't see Lito, or like if I don't see Lito, I don't see Leza, I don't see let's see who else, Armand Icas, so the leaders who want to go wealth Manted route, I'm like for sure picking Ilban, and I'm like very confident in winning that game. For me, Ilban is probably S tier, not F tier, S tier. And I don't think, like, even if people block you at Mantat, just drawing a card when going to your Swordmaster, yeah, sure. Drawing a card when going to getting a Dreadnought, fine. And I do think you get Mantat quite often anyway, because, like, 2 Solari is quite a bit of Solari early game. So people are not inclined to block you that. Like, people are claiming, yeah, if you get blocked, if you play with good players, it's difficult to get Mantat. But I've been, like, I only play with yeah, I don't want to say only play with good players, but I do try to play with the people I know, and I do consider them good players. And even playing with them, I don't get blocked at Mentat just to get blocked. They will only go Mentat if they really need Mentat themselves. So
Yeah.
personally, Ilban, like top two leader for me in Immortality. Top three, top two leader.
Okay. Okay. So with Ilban, it's actually the second most popular leader, with 148 picks, and with 48 wins, it comes up to a 32% win rate, which is really high. I think when I previously posted the stats, like it's the highest win rate amongst all the leaders, and I think in X, right, like Ilban is very strong. However, it doesn't function like a lot of the other strong leaders. So I think if you are if you're very fixed on interstellar shipping idea, like you won't rate Ilban very highly, right? If you think that interstellar shipping is the only way you win the game, like Ilban like drops in terms of your own ranking. However, if you do play him and you do realize how easy it is to get Spice Must Flows with him, right? Or just to buy powerful cards and to play those cards so often, right? You come to realize that Ilban is actually very, very strong. And I think it has been amplified a lot by Immortality, because how powerful cycling your deck is. Because there's additional incentives to cycle your deck with the experimentations.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Ilban is also one of the few leaders that has a clear turn to Swordmaster route by just smuggling twice. I doubt you get smuggle twice because it's so contested lately in the GTS meta. But even if you don't get to smuggle twice, if you just cycle Mentat a couple times, you will be buying good cards, and you will probably be very happy with with being able to nuke and choose which card you want to buy there as well. And cycling also gives you the possibility of getting a 3-cost Trilexu card round 2 already, and that is without going to research station, because you just cycle so much through your deck that you see your experimentations that often. So I think Ilban, and the stats probably support my claim, is like top 2, top 3 leader, and yeah, I'm willing to die on this hill as well.
Yeah, I think it's an S tier leader as well.
Yeah.
So one thing I'll talk about for Immortality, I think that so I think when Oski rates leaders, I think he looks at the signet ring and he looks at the power and he thinks about it in the context of Immortality. Like, how important is this ability for the signet ring? How important is this passive for Immortality? And I do agree with a lot of his ratings in terms of, like, when he talks about cards, he's very accurate. So let's say if you go and watch his when he talks about the Trilexu cards with Lannister, CJ, and Black Shadow, he's very accurate. Whatever he says, I agree with. However, I don't agree with how he rates leaders based on their ring. I think with Immortality, one thing is that the leaders which use your signet ring actually are not as powerful, because there are so many cards that you want to play. If you don't play your signet ring, you can play your experimentation and be pretty happy with it. And there are a lot of leaders who look at their signet ring and experimentation and like, okay, I probably will play the experimentation. So there's a power shift away from the signet ring.
Yeah, no, I agree. And even Ilban's signet ring isn't even bad. Like, getting that early one Solari is actually quite huge. So, like, late game, sure, that one Solari won't do you much, but the early Solari early game is huge. Like, it just changes being able to get turn to Swordmaster into. I think leaders who are able to get turn to Swordmaster are at least A tier, all of them.
All of them.
All of them are at least 8 in my mind. So that gives us Ilban, that gives us, okay, maybe not Yuna. Okay, let's see Yuna then. If you turn to position 2, Yuna is 8 here as well.
Okay.
Like, position 1 Yuna is just too difficult to make work, and position 4 Yuna is also quite doomed in my mind. But 2 and 3 Yuna is also one of the few leaders that are, you know, double wealth into and one smuggle is already a sword master. So even Yuna is probably A tier if you get in position 2 and 3. But so if you don't get her in position 2 or 3, she drops by quite a bit. But like Ilban, Yuna, I guess, Raban definitely, the Beast, Raban, Lito. Um, oh, like I guess Hanjo in some sense as well because uh, I personally play Hanjo as early Swordmaster leader. So Hanjo is in my mind not a shipping leader anymore because I just use the ring to just cash out
Okay,
and
okay.
then go wealth and go Swordmaster. Yeah, like the Swordmaster meme has been iterated quite often, but I do think it's just that powerful as well.
Okay, okay. Anyway, let's move on. Maybe we'll talk about one or two more leaders. I think we're making good time.
I'd say more controversial opinion like Baron Vladimir Harkonnen.
Okay.
I think he was like on most leaders, most tier list for X top two, like one
Yes.
of the few leaders that can confidently end it round 6, round 7. But in Immortality, I don't know. Like I haven't seen Baron players. Like I'm not a Baron player anymore in Immortality. I just don't think he's that good. So I don't pick him personally. And the people I play with also don't really play him. But when he does get played, he doesn't do that well as well. So yeah, I don't know what the stats say about Baron, but in my mind, he dropped from S tier to I guess A tier
Okay.
at most.
Okay. So let's.
A tier at most.
Yeah. So Baron is actually the fourth most popular leader now, with 119 picks. Okay, and he has a total of 25 wins, and that leads him to about a 21% win rate, which amongst all the leaders we've discussed is the lowest so far.
Yeah, well, I guess my intuition about him being quite a bit worse is also correct because he just doesn't feel that strong. I think it's a combination with shipping not being that detrimental, um, you wanting early Swordmaster, and intrigues having a much higher variance. Like there are
Yeah.
so many intrigues that are garbage early games that you just the ring just gets so much worse.
Yeah. So I think the intrigues have gotten less powerful. So the overall power of the intrigue deck has gotten less powerful, and the signet ring
Yeah.
also has been devalued because there are so many good on play cards.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that he still has a place in the meta game. I don't think that interstellar shipping is bad by any means. I think
No.
if you can't get Sword Master, what else do you want? You want interstellar shipping, right? So I think because Baron has that very clear line to it, I think that he still has a place in the meta, and maybe holds a place in A, maybe B. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if he's anywhere in S tier anymore.
No.
Yeah, but I guess we have to buy more games of him to really see where he lands. But I do notice that with Baron, right? If let's say you're a new player and you play Baron, there are a lot of mistakes that there are a lot of traps that you can fall into. So I always think that Baron is like a new player trap because there are a lot of things that you can do that will make your game feel very very bad. So. So that's one
Then
reason
again,
why I don't take his stats too seriously whenever I look at casual games.
but if you play with only good players and you have a Baron in the game, he's not ending the game round 6 in Immortality. Like people will pay close attention to that. His alliances will get pushed. So if you're not ending the game round 6, round 7, like he already fell off a cliff in X by the time round 8 came. In Immortality, I think you know, yeah, like he's in the Mariana Trench, I guess. It's just quite a bit more difficult to end the game early with Baron. He's just so telegraphed. I do know, like in general, IMO games also tend to end at round 7, but
Uh,
it's not Baron ending it in round 7.
I think the official, like, let me give a number for this. The round that it ends is I think 7.8. I have this
Quite high.
number somewhere. I used to have this number somewhere. I don't have any more. Around 7.7, 7.8.
That's quite high in my mind.
Yeah.
But that probably makes sense because the stats are from every game recorded, and I'd say also quite a bit of casual games. But I think like in a competitive environment, games do tend to gravitate more towards round 7. Definitely round 8 is over, and round 9 and 10 like in Immortality not really seen.
Yes. Is there any last leader you want to talk about?
There's like a special mention for Paul Atreides. I think like in X he was just almost unplayable, quite unplayable. Let's put it like that. And in Immortality, I think I've played him personally twice, and I've won both games. I don't want to say I just got lucky both games as well, but who isn't getting lucky?
Yeah.
He is surprisingly good. Like I'm just surprised. Like I would put him at the bottom of the barrel in X, and here he is actually pickable sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I'd say, okay, I would pick him probably only in first position.
Oh,
Because like
okay.
in fourth position, I have so many more choices. I could probably pick something better. And third position, probably as well. I might consider him in second position, but I'd say if I'm in first position and I get like you can get quite a bit of shitty choices in first position, and if I have to choose between the shitty choices, I'd probably pick the least shitty choice. Also on mine sometimes. So yeah, the ring just enables so many. Yeah, not so many, but the ring just enables you to do stuff that other leaders can't do that easily. There's this famous that there's this famous route where you can get 8 persuasion round 1 without by yeah you need to have the golden hand convincing yeah I don't want to say the wrong things convincing like just persuasion cards and you ring to Arakeen and dagger to tech negotiator and then you just nuke the row and get quick and just win the game, right? But it is one of the few leaders, or like I think the only leader that can get to 8. Correct me if I'm wrong. Can get to 8 persuasion round 1.
I think if Paul can do it, Helena can do it, right?
Yeah, probably Helena as well. Or like if you have Mimic and your Beast. But yeah, besides those, it's very difficult to get to. So yeah, there are some cheese strats that you might be able to pull off at Paul as well. But just in general, your ring giving you that one extra draw really helps you snatching that round 1. I don't know, for humanity or round 1. Jessica, let's just shoot for the moon, right? So yeah, I think Paul has a special place in my heart right now for first position or second position, I'd say.
Okay, so Paul's current popularity is 9 out of the I think there are 14 leaders, so 9 out of 14, and he has been picked 84 times in the stats. Amongst these 84 games, he has won 22 of them, which means he has a 26% win rate. So
Quite good.
yeah, so Sneaker has 2 wins on Paul, and I have 3 wins on Paul, with 3 games played.
Oh no.
So do note that these stats are heavily influenced. Then I think Zakrat, who is the winner of the first one, really has like 2 games on him and both wins as well. So I know these stats are very skewed, but I guess if the good players are playing Paul and are doing pretty well with him, there must be some reasoning behind it. Right, I look at Paul's passive ability and I think like, okay, I don't need the passive. I already count my deck. I count my deck so much, right, that I don't really need to look at the top of my deck. And then if I don't draw my signaling, I feel like, oh gosh, I have no way of winning this game. But hey, I've been winning with Paul, and others have been too. So he has a decent win rate. And compared to, okay, so let's say in comparison to the GPI stats, So GPI stats, he was picked how many times? He was picked like about 20 times and he had 1 win. You know, it's vastly different. Something must have flipped. Some switch must have been flipped between Ix and Imo that made Paul playable. And it seems like drawing cards is great.
Yeah. Cycling cards, drawing cards, just got so much better, and the leaders who are able to do that also got so much better.
Yeah. Okay, so that's where we are at with Paul. Okay, so I'm gonna show Sneaker the stats now, and I'll show all the viewers the stats. I'll put up some graphic as well. Okay, so actually we have a new queen in town, and the queen of immortality is Tessia Vernius, and I don't think it can be denied at this point. Tessia Vernius is, let's see how many picks she has. She has a very high pick count as well. She has over 100 games played, so 108 games and 40 wins with her. She didn't start at this higher win rate. I think when we last looked at it, it was like maybe 25%, and she has been climbing steadily. So she's now at 37% win rate.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. 37% win rate. I don't know if people like the player base has realized why she's so powerful. And I have since I've seen this data and I have theorized why it has happened. Let me just share my theories to it. So first, the metagame has shifted away from interstellar stripping, right? And because it has shifted away from interstellar stripping, I've seen many Tessias in very awkward positions be the only one to get interstellar stripping. Similar to how the GPI, the Muad'Dib April finals went. No one player happens to chance up on shipping, and no one really has the actions or wants to go and block him, or it's just not in a good position to block him, and he just kind of ships a lot. The other reason is that his main competitors are also suffering, and this is in the terms of Baron. So Baron always puts a lot of pressure on Tessia, and it makes it very awkward for Tessia in some positions because Baron also jumps up onto a shipping track. But because Baron doesn't do as well as in Immortality, she loses the competitor, and the metagame has shifted so much towards Swordmaster that it leaves a lot more space towards Tessia for interstellar shipping. And I think I talked about it just now. The last thing is that Tessia Signet Ring, right, allows you to activate her snoopers. But if you look at Tessia's Signet Ring, it gives you a net 0 influence. You do not need her Signet Ring to be powerful. You can use her Signet Ring for cool, powerful plays at certain timings, but it does not significantly enhance your power level. Your power level has always been in your snoopers and getting to your snoopers. As long as you're halfway to get to your snoopers, you have that power. So I think that because she's not bounded by a Signet Ring as well, that's one of the reasons why her win rate is so high.
I guess Tessia being overpowered also explains why a good friend of mine, you got Fanged, was winning so many games with Tessia. He was just using the overpowered shit. I'm seeing right through you, Frank. Alright, I didn't know that. Like I did notice in my games as well, Tessia was doing surprisingly well, and I like sometimes he was just coming out of nowhere and just winning. And well, I guess I have to pay more attention to Tessia because I also, personally, the shipping leaders, I've played them so often in Ix that I just got sick of them. So I haven't played Baron that often. Tessia, I don't think I've played at all in Immortality personally. And I do play Handro, but I just play him as a Swordmaster rusher. So I guess I have to try Tessia myself as well and see if I can crank those win rates even higher.
So I looked at the Tessia, so I have more stats other than this. So I looked at the Tessia players who've been really doing well with her. And if you want to look at Gristlepuff playing Tessia, if you ever play a game with him and he's playing Tessia, look at him. He's a good Tessia player. The stats prove it. And also a little green goal or something like that. I'll put up their usernames. They're both good Tessia players based on the stats I have. And so watch them if you want to learn how to play Tessia. And yeah, I expect Tessia's popularity to shoot up higher. But with increased popularity, the win rate will fall. But I do think that she will remain top two.
Can I ask? Yeah, I'm just my own to state my own curiosity, but like you got franked Tessia win rate. I'm just very curious right now. Or
Oh,
like how many games has he abused Tessia with?
how many games has you have? Okay, let me let me pull this out. I don't think it's too many actually.
Because I'm just calling him out right now here, but that guy has been playing a lot of Tessia in my games.
No, he doesn't have Tessia games submitted.
Oh,
He
okay,
has,
maybe those games weren't submitted. Okay,
yeah, he has one game submitted with Tessia, which he has won.
okay. Thank you, at least.
Yeah, so maybe Tessia's win rate should be even higher.
Yeah, no, like the Tessia has been performing very well in my games as well. So I'm surprised it's doing this well, but it was also, yeah, a little bit expected, but not. I didn't expect it to be this insanely high.
Yeah. Okay, and then okay, so I guess let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is Prince Romber. So if you look at the win rates across the board, like the ones that's closer to him is like Memnon, which is at 18% win rate, and here you have Romber at 11% win rate, and he's not even. Yeah, he's the second least popular, so he has 44 games played and 5 games won.
I think he's just dead in immortality. Like he has nothing going on for him. Like it just, yeah. I've seen Lannister, like one of the main Romber players, try to make him work, but he just doesn't do anything. He just rolls over and dies. Like it's just so difficult to make the dreadnoughts work. Like the Solari is so important. Like he doesn't draw any cards. Yeah, in my mind, he's just dead.
So, I mean, the stats speak for themselves. We don't need to talk about why Romber is bad. But let's say if you were to buff Romber, how would you buff Romber?
I think I hadn't thought about this before, but making Romber be the only leader that can choose to send his dreadnoughts to city spots. So if you actually get your dreadnoughts, the one thing that you have going for you, make
Ah,
you make it so that you can use it every turn. Maybe this would be quite a significant buff, but I do think with 10% win rate he kind of needs it.
so you're saying that if you get the dreadnought, you can send it into combat, or if you go, you get the dreadnought and your dreadnought can be an agent to go to a city space.
So if you win a combat with Romber, because if you win a combat with Romber, you can choose to not send your dreadnought to
Oh,
a city.
okay. So if you win the combat, you don't have to deploy it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So you can
okay.
just reuse it all the time, and if you have two dreadnoughts at some point, there come a time that you will win a combat, and then you have to like you lose half your combat strength by just sending it away. What if you don't have to send it away?
Okay, that's an interesting
I'm not
idea.
I'm not sure if this would break him, but I also think some people suggested Romber being the only like the leader that if he goes to the dreadnought spot that he can deploy as well. This would also be
Yeah,
a
that could be
decent buff.
interesting. Anyway, I know Paul Denon watches some of these videos. So Paul, if you're in this, if you're watching this, you can write in the comments what is your suggestion, and it can become the Bible truth, and that everyone on the Discord will just take it as as what Rumble will be buffed in Immortality as. So Paul, please.
Please, Paul, help us out here.
Yeah, okay. So this is the win rates in Immortality, and I guess when we get more stats, we'll come visit this again. But I think we have quite a number of games in for a large number of the leaders. Um,
Mhm.
Quite a number of them have over 100 games in. So you can see the ones that are over 100 games in, and most of them have over 100 games in. I think that it should be quite reliable for them. And the least popular ones, they will settle somewhere. I think they'll average out mostly.
Yeah, no, this is to be expected. Like Beast being very popular, like he's just, yeah, in my mind, he just got better in Imo compared to X as well. Like starting at one Solari and one Spice just enables so many things that he couldn't do before. So yeah, not surprised with Beast doing so well with so many games played.
Yep. Okay, and I think we'll end the video here. So once again, I thank Sneaker for being on this discussion, and I hope to have him back. If you want if you want to be part of this channel as well, I think a lot of people like talking about, a lot of people who play Dune like talking about it. Drew, drop me a PM and we'll try to arrange something. Any parting words?
Thanks for you. Yeah, no, thanks for having me, and I really like talking about Dune, so I really like doing this as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks for watching, guys. See you around.